Welcome everyone to Project Perspectives, the go-to podcast for insights into making projects not just successful, but truly exceptional. Today we're tackling a topic that honestly I think is still vastly misunderstood and underutilized in the project management world called value engineering. And I'm thrilled to have my esteemed colleague, Dr. Jacqueline Fahmy, here to dissect it with me.
Thanks, Martin. It's great to be here, and you hit the nail on the head. Misunderstood is probably the kindest word for how value engineering, or VE, is often perceived. Many people still think it's just a fancy term for cost cutting. And that couldn't be further from the truth.
Absolutely. It's one of those terms that, unfortunately, has gotten a bit of a bad rap. When you say value engineering in some boardrooms, you see people immediately tense up thinking, oh, here we go, they're going to slash our budget and compromise quality. But what we're here to explain today is that VE is about so much more than that. It's about optimizing value.
Precisely. If we really boil it down, value engineering is a systematic, organized approach to achieving an optimum balance between function, cost, and performance of a project, product, or process. It's not about sacrificing quality for a lower price. It's about getting the absolute best value for the investment, ensuring every dollar spent delivers maximum impact.
And that systematic part is key, isn't it? It's not just a casual brainstorming session. It's a structured methodology, often involving a multidisciplinary team, dedicated time, and specific techniques, like functional analysis, to truly understand what the project needs to achieve, rather than just how it's currently planned to achieve it.
Exactly. Let's take function analysis for a moment. This is where V really shines. Instead of just accepting a design or a component as is, a V team asks, what is the basic function of this element, and what does it do? For instance, if you're building a bridge, a basic function isn't to look pretty, though aesthetics might be an important secondary function. The basic function is to cross a gap or to support traffic. By defining these core functions, you can then explore alternative ways to achieve them, which might be more efficient, less costly, or higher performing.
That's a fantastic example, Jacqueline. And it really opens the door to innovation, doesn't it? Because once you strip away preconceived notions about how something should be done and focus purely on what it needs to achieve, suddenly a whole world of possibilities opens up. Maybe there's a new material, a different construction method, or a revised process that can deliver the same or even better functionality at a lower lifecycle cost, not just the initial cost.
Absolutely. It encourages out-of-the-box thinking, and it's not just about materials or construction. VE can be applied to processes, to organizational structures, to software development. Literally any project where resources are being allocated to achieve a specific outcome. The core principle remains the same. Understand the function, analyze the cost, explore alternatives, and select the best value option.
So if it's so beneficial, why isn't it universally adopted? I mean, when we talk about the necessity of value engineering for all projects, it's not an exaggeration. Think about the potential for waste, for overspecification, for missed opportunities if VE isn't applied.
Well, part of it, as you mentioned, is the misconception that it's just cost cutting. Another factor is often the "we've always done it this way" mentality. Project teams, especially those under tight deadlines, can be resistant to what they perceive as an extra step or an interruption to their workflow. They see the upfront investment in a V study as a delay or an additional expense, rather than a crucial step that will yield significant returns.
And that's where the necessity part comes in, isn't it? Because that extra step almost always pays for itself many times over. We're talking about not just potential savings of 5 or 10%, but sometimes upwards of 20, 30% on total project costs, while simultaneously improving performance, quality, and even reducing risks. It's an investment in smart project delivery.
Precisely. And let's not forget the risk reduction aspect. by having a multidisciplinary team thoroughly analyze functions and alternatives. You often uncover potential issues or inefficiencies that might have been overlooked in the initial design phases. This proactive identification and mitigation of risks can save a tremendous amount of headaches and money down the line.
It's like a comprehensive health check for your project, really. You wouldn't skip your annual physical, right? Or you shouldn't, because catching something early can prevent a much bigger problem later. VE acts in a similar way for projects, identifying weaknesses and suggesting robust alternatives before they become expensive change orders or critical failures.
That's a fantastic analogy, Martin. And speaking of when, another crucial point is the timing of a V study. The earlier it's conducted in the project lifecycle, the more impactful it can be. If you wait until the design is 80% complete, changes become far more costly and difficult to implement. Ideally, V should be integrated right into the conceptual and schematic design phases, when the most significant decisions are being made and flexibility is still high.
I often explain it like this. Imagine trying to redesign the foundation of a house once the roof is already on. It's possible, but it's incredibly expensive, disruptive, and might even compromise the structure. But if you're still sketching out the blueprints, making a change to the foundation is just erasing a line and drawing a new one. The cost of change is almost negligible at that early stage.
Exactly. The V methodology involves several key phases, starting with preparation and information gathering, where the team really understands the project's scope, objectives, and constraints. Then comes function analysis, where they define what does it do and what must it do, followed by creativity, generating as many alternatives as possible without judgment.
That creative phase is where some of the most exciting breakthroughs happen, isn't it? Because you've got people from different disciplines, architects, engineers, cost estimators, operations specialists, even end users, all looking at the same problem from their unique perspectives, bouncing ideas off each other. It's a breeding ground for true innovation.
Absolutely. It fosters a collaborative environment that often breaks down silos. After creativity and idea generation, you move into evaluation, where those ideas are assessed against criteria like cost, performance, risk, and feasibility. Then, development, where the most promising alternatives are fleshed out with more detail, including life cycle cost estimates and implementation plans. Finally, a presentation should be delivered in which the recommendations are clearly articulated to the project stakeholders. Then, the implementation phase should begin.
And the beauty of that structured approach is that the recommendations are not just gut feelings or nice to haves. They're backed by rigorous analysis, clear cost implications, and a thorough understanding of their functional impact. That makes them much harder for stakeholders to dismiss out of hand, especially when they can see the tangible benefits.
It builds a compelling business case for change. And often these recommendations lead to more sustainable solutions too. By optimizing materials or processes, you might inadvertently reduce environmental impact, lower energy consumption, or extend the lifespan of an asset, which adds another layer of value.
That's a critical point, Jacqueline. In today's climate, sustainability isn't just a buzzword. It's a necessity. And VE, by its very nature of questioning and optimizing, inherently supports greener, more resource-efficient project delivery. It forces us to ask, is there a better way to achieve this function with less waste, less energy, less impact?
Indeed, and it's not just about large-scale infrastructure projects either. While bridges, buildings, and major manufacturing plants are classic examples, the principles are equally applicable to smaller projects. Software developments, for instance. Even process improvements within a service industry. The scale changes, but the methodology holds.
I think that's where a lot of smaller organizations might miss out. They think, oh, VE is for the big players, the multi-million-dollar project. But even on a project with a budget of, say, $50,000, identifying a more efficient process or a lower cost, equally functional component can lead to significant percentage savings. And those savings compound over time if applied across multiple projects.
Exactly. Imagine a startup developing a new app. A V study might look at the core functions of the app, identify which features truly deliver value to the user, and which are nice to haves that could be deferred or eliminated to reduce development costs and time to market. It's about getting the essential functionality right at the right cost.
It's a huge strategic advantage, really. For any organization, regardless of size, incorporating VE into their project lifecycle can transform their approach to capital expenditure and operational efficiency. It shifts the mindset from just spending money to investing wisely to maximize value.
And it also fosters a culture of continuous improvement. Once teams experience the benefits of VE, they start to inherently question assumptions, seek alternatives, and look for better ways of doing things, even outside formal VS studies. It instills a value-first mentality.
That's a powerful outcome, isn't it? Because ultimately, a truly successful project isn't just delivered on time and within budget. It's delivered with optimal value, meeting or exceeding stakeholder expectations in the most efficient way possible. And that's precisely what VE aims to achieve.
And for those interested in getting more deeply involved, organizations like SAVE International provide certifications like the Certified Value Specialist, or CVS. These certifications ensure that professionals leading VA studies have the necessary training and expertise to apply the methodology effectively, ensuring its rigor and impartiality.
That's a great point, Jacqueline. Having certified professionals leading these efforts adds immense credibility and ensures the process isn't just a superficial exercise. It means the team is guided by someone who truly understands the nuances of function analysis, ideation, evaluation, and recommendation development. It's not just common sense, it's a specialized skill.
It absolutely is. And this expertise is crucial because sometimes the most valuable recommendations aren't immediately obvious. It takes a trained eye and a systematic approach to uncover those hidden opportunities for value enhancement.
So when we say VE is a necessity for all projects, we're really saying that without it, projects are likely leaving significant value on the table. Whether that's in terms of unnecessarily high costs, missed performance improvements, or avoidable risks. It's almost irresponsible not to conduct a VE study on any substantial project, isn't it?
I would go as far as to say it's negligent, Martin, especially with public funds. But even with private investment, TERI's an ethical obligation to ensure that resources are being used in the most efficient and effective way possible. V provides a robust framework for fulfilling that obligation.
And it doesn't have to be a one-time event. For very large, complex, or long-duration projects, you could argue for conducting multiple VE studies at different stages of the project lifecycle. Then, perhaps an initial one at concept, another at schematic design, and maybe even a targeted one during detailed design for specific high-cost or high-risk elements.
Absolutely. It's about iterating and refining. Each stage presents new information and new opportunities for optimization. For example, a VE study during the operational phase of an existing facility might focus on maintenance procedures, energy consumption, or workflow efficiency, extending the value beyond initial construction.
That's an excellent point. VE isn't just for new projects. It can revitalize existing assets or processes, uncovering inefficiencies that have become entrenched over time. Imagine applying VE to a manufacturing line that's been in operation for 20 years. The potential for improvement there could be monumental.
Absolutely. And it can even be used in reverse, in a sense. If a project is already in trouble, over budget, or behind schedule, a targeted VA study can help identify where to make the most impactful changes to get it back on track.
So, it's a diagnostic tool, a preventative measure, and a strategic enhancer, all rolled into one. It really challenges the traditional linear approach to project delivery. and replaces it with a more circular, iterative, and value-driven process.
And that's why it's so critical for project managers, sponsors, and stakeholders to embrace it. It's not just an engineering tool, it's a management philosophy. It's about asking why, repeatedly, ensuring every component, every process, every decision contributes optimally to the project's overall objectives.
I think the key takeaway for our listeners today should be that value engineering is not a luxury, it's a necessity. It's not about being cheap, it's about being smart. It's about maximizing the return on investment by systematically optimizing function, cost, and performance.
Couldn't have said it better myself, Martin. And for anyone looking to delve deeper to really understand the systematic process and the incredible benefits, I highly recommend exploring resources from organizations like Save International. They offer a wealth of knowledge and insights into making V a cornerstone of your project management strategy.
Fantastic advice, Jacqueline. It's a field that, once you understand it, you can't unsee the opportunities it presents. Every project, big or small, simple or complex, stands to gain immensely from a proper value engineering approach. It's about building smarter, not just building.
Agreed. It empowers teams to truly innovate and deliver superior outcomes. So embrace value engineering, ask those critical questions, and watch your projects transform.
What a perfect way to put it. Thank you, Jacqueline, for sharing your incredible insights today. This has been a truly illuminating discussion.
My pleasure, Martin. Always great to talk about something I'm so passionate about.
And thank you to all our listeners for tuning into Project Best. We hope this episode has shed some much needed light on why value engineering is not just a good idea, but an indispensable practice for all your projects. Until next time, keep building value.